What's up, everyone? So, I just returned from a trip to Chicago where I met Dr. Mohammed Tahir, a British Iraqi doctor, better known online as nerve surgeon. He's the longest serving foreign doctor who volunteered in Gaza during Israel's genocide. He witnessed horrors unimaginable to the human eye, heart, and soul. And through his work and platform, he has inspired millions of people around the world by his courage to simply save Palestinian lives under incessant bombs, sometimes performing surgeries for 36 hours straight. Israel, of course, banned him from returning to Gaza. So he's working with Fajar Global, a humanitarian medical organization that treats victims of war. Today, Dr. Taher is working to evacuate thousands of injured Palestinians to provide them with life-saving care and dignified homes so they're not trapped. Dr. Taher is not just a surgeon, he's a healer, an intellectual, and a leader in giving a voice to Palestinians in Gaza. Now, I sat down with Dr. Taher for an interview for Met Press News to learn more about his latest efforts to get injured Palestinians out of Gaza and the global wave of solidarity, including from Spain and Italy, while Palestine's Arab neighbors aid the apartheid regime. I began by asking him why Keir Starmer's sudden recognition of the state of Palestine is problematic. Check it out.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you, first of all, for the interview. Keir Starmer has been a problematic character in the events leading up to where we are today. I say that because he's presided over the genocide from the UK's perspective, continued to arm Israel with weapons, provide it with spying information, I suppose, with their spy jets that fly from Cyprus and back and forth, and revealed information for the Israelis to carry out airstrikes and kill innocent people. So they're very much embedded and very much complicit. I think now, however, Israel have become, they are so out of control that all the international bodies are calling this a genocide. People like Keir Starmer have nowhere to run. So the reality is facing them. And they know that history will be written and they will be included in the list of those who've enabled genocide. So for the UK to recognize the state of Palestine is a little bit of lip service. I think it's a little bit of deflection. They've instituted some details alongside with the state of Palestine, such that, for example, the state of Palestine is not allowed to have an army. Who the hell are you to tell another nation whether they can defend themselves or not? It is the right of every nation to have an army. So who the hell are you to dictate they can or cannot? Of course, the UK was one of the chief, if not the chief instigator and cause for all of this plight when they took control of Palestine and felt that they were empowered to hand it over to another nation. So they are legally and morally, historically obligated, I suppose, in some ways to fix this. So, don't get me wrong. We welcome, as many Palestinians did, the recognition of Palestine. In some ways, it's a bit, of a insult that we have to wait for you to recognize the state of Palestine. But nonetheless, it's a step in the right direction, I suppose. Is it a complete step? No. Does it need to be married up with more action? Of course. Stop the genocide. If you want to recognize the state of Palestine, the first thing you have to do is stop the bloodshed. And then if you really truly want to be a just state, you need to think about reparations for the people of Palestine. Then you open up the can of worms of whether you believe in the 67 borders at all. Many Palestinians will tell you, why should I relinquish an inch of my land? My land is the whole, from the river to the sea. Every single inch is Palestine. The one single state. This is a complex debate. If you want to have it on the international scene, of course, my belief is that it is all Palestine. Every single inch is Palestine. And the Zionists had a project It is a failed project. It is a project that is elbows deep in blood. It has brought about shame onto humanity, and they've relinquished the right to govern. So my opinion is all of this ruling class of Israel all need to be thrown in front of the judge in the International Criminal Court, all need to be tried, locked up, and literally every single one have the key thrown away. If it were up to me, then we would bring back capital punishment for them. And the land handed back to the people of Palestine. Then you have the question of, what do we do with the Jewish population? Well, for sure, there was a Jewish population that lived there. And they should continue to live there in peace, as they have always done under Islamic Muslim rule. But the ones that have come from Europe and America and so on and so forth in the last few years and have this birthright and this nonsense, absolutely don't believe that they have that right. That's my opinion.
And speaking of winning the hearts and minds of humanity, what was your reaction when we heard the news about Spain and Italy providing naval fleets to protect the Samud flotilla, while Palestine's Arab neighbors are helping Israel circumvent the Red Sea blockade by providing them with aid and military weapons and shipments of goods?
I think the Emirati foreign minister just met Netanyahu today in a side meeting at the UN. Just goes to show the level of complicity of our Arab states. Look, I would say Spain in particular has really had an honorable position from a governmental perspective. And of course the people. But the people of Italy really have set themselves apart from the rest of the world with that day of protest and strike, which they brought the country to a standstill. The government, however, is lacking behind the Spanish. The Italian Prime Minister still has not recognized the state of Palestine. She's tried to create some unrealistic conditions for that. But nonetheless, we welcome that they have let some of their Navy fleet, I think it's one per country or one or two per country, sail along with the Samud to protect, however, only their citizens, plus some other EU citizens that those EU countries have requested. So it's, in some ways it's good, but, it still leaves a lot of other boats from Arab countries exposed and vulnerable. However, it's a step in the right direction. I mean, we cannot be, and we do have this problem as Arabs and Muslims. We're constantly caught up in a state of being negative about everything. And we do have to see the positives. These are definitely positive signs. I'm very proud of what Spain are doing. I'm proud of the Italian people. I think they're leading the charge at the European front, putting a lot of Arabs and Muslims to great shame. And they're making people realize, hang on, these things are possible. I mean, I've been calling for a global day of protest for a long time now. And I've constantly spoken about this. I spoke to some of the stakeholders in the UK, and they said that the trade unions are powerless because they're committed legally only to, bring about this sort of action, like strikes, for example, when it comes to dealing with specific problems relating to employment. And so that's why I asked the question, are your values tied to financial gain or to the principles of humanity? And it seems for them it's tied to just financial gain. We need people to break the rules. We're in a situation where enough is enough. Humanity has had enough of Israel and its lies and its murder and its impunity. We're sickened by it. We've had enough. We've witnessed enough, and we want to see it end now.
I want to talk about your time in Gaza. What is the most nightmarish experience that you witnessed in Gaza as a surgeon that still haunts you today?
Gaza is full of painful memories, to be honest. It depends on the day and the moment that you ask me. I remember the feeling of helplessness many a time in the ERs, of the hospitals, in particular Shuhada al-Aqsa, when we were drowning patients and people were dying all around us, including children, and we couldn't stop it. We had to choose between which child to give a ventilator to and which child to die. And when we would be faced in the context of a mass casualty and the child would lose his pulse, and we would not be able to resuscitate him because we don't have the manpower or the resources to commit to a CPR for one person in and amongst all this death. I'm troubled sometimes when I ask myself, could I have done more for this person? Was there more I could have done for this person? But I know that really I gave my heart and my soul. I pushed my body and all my team to the beyond the limit. We worked day and night, that's why our slogan became Hatta Matla' al-Fajr, until the rise of dawn. And soon even, because we'd operate until dawn prayer, but even like we would go beyond that. We would operate for 36 hours straight. But it's the dead children that sometimes I remember. They have lifeless bodies. Some of them with bullets in their heads. Some of them with shrapnel injuries to their torn limbs and abdomens and thorax. I often remember the mother of one of our girls that we've evacuated, actually, Zaina. So one day in the north of Gaza, we were hit with an influx of patients. We were told actually one of our colleagues was killed in that same strike. He was found, just his upper half was found, his lower body was missing. His name was Abu Amin. May Allah accept him. Then the team were distraught. The team were on the floor crying in pain and hurt. And then we had the influx of patients. And I was a young female, 21 years old, or 22, thereabouts. And I just looked at her body as they brought her to the operating room. And it was destroyed. She had an open skull fracture. The part of her chest was completely missing, and I was seeing her ribs. Ribs were broken, and her lung was inside and was covered in mud and dirt inside the thoracic cavity. She had penetrating injuries to her abdomen. Her right leg, her knee was blown out in pieces. Her left foot was in pieces. Her arms were injured. And I was like, what the? And we got to work. I worked on all her peripheries. And there was a general surgeon working on her abdomen, and he just, I could see he was struggling. Meanwhile, they were telling me about another girl, a baby, whose her leg was hanging off by the skin. And, I told the general surgeon, like, if you don't know where the bleeding is, just pack the abdomen. That's all you can do for now. Early 20s. So I went into the other room, and then I saw this baby, 8 months old, and her leg was hanging off, but she was covered in shrapnel injuries. And also had penetrating injury to the abdomen as well. So a pediatric surgeon got working with her abdomen. I was trying to replant the leg, which was basically hanging off skin, but it was already quite delayed. So we'd been going and going and going. I finished at like 11 a.m. the following day. We went up to the office, and I asked my colleague what happened to the mother, to the lady rather, and they told me that she didn't survive. And then they told me that this young female was the baby's mother. So the baby, and at the scene of the airstrike, the baby's father and the other brother were killed. So this baby was now an orphan. But I remember the mother, and I remember her injuries, and it's those. I know you just wish that you were in a better situation, better resources, more team, and maybe we could have saved them. Maybe we would have prevented this baby from being a limbless orphan. Many, many painful memories of Gaza, to be honest. But
And does that kind of, those memories, how are they affecting you and your sleep and your mental health? And
anyone who comes out from Gaza is not the same person. I think that's something that all people say consistently. Obviously, having spent 7 months in there, I was probably amongst the longest duration of any surgeon, foreign surgeon in the world. And you're not the same person as you come out. Life is not the same. You're not motivated by maybe the things that you were when you were young. About having a nice car and a nice house and a nice family, and you go on holidays and nice restaurants and whatever. Just all of a sudden, that whole thing just shatters. It's not important anymore. What's important is fighting for justice. What's important is to defend the oppressed, to be their voice. And so, also when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts you in a position where people now look up to you and people follow you and listen to you and they see you as an inspirational figure, then you all of a sudden have this responsibility. And it's a responsibility you can't turn your back from. You must keep going. So whilst I am affected by it for sure, but as I often say, I use it as rocket fuel to motivate me, to keep me going. So.
Beyond physical, what has been the most psychological damage you've seen to the children of Gaza?
All the children of Gaza are psychologically damaged. All of them. And the ones that come out, they manifest strange behavior. And there have been incidents, obviously I cannot tell you about, that have shocked me. As this behavior of a child or children with post-traumatic stress manifests. It's shocking, really. These kids have been through a lot. Some kids, obviously born in the war, born in the genocide, only knew genocide, and then were killed in genocide. And that sums it up. That sums up what this is about, really. This is an extermination of a people. They've tried to exterminate them physically. They've tried to exterminate them academically. They've tried to ethnically cleanse them. And then they try to destroy their futures by preventing children from experiencing schools and learning, and also by creating trauma. This will not leave the people of Gaza for generations. This pain will stay and will run in their blood. But as the saying goes, tough times create tough men, and tough men create good times. And I'm confident that the people of Gaza will fight for their liberty and their freedom, and Israel will collapse and will not succeed.
Their childhoods have been ripped away from them completely.
Yeah.
And as a Palestinian myself, who as a child saw children getting shot at, buildings being blown up, knowing there's families inside, that completely traumatized me. But like you said, I had the privilege of living in the West, like you, and that was used as that trauma was used as the rocket fuel, as you described it, to build a media organization and for yourself to continue your medical work. What is the most dire medical needs that Gaza needs right now?
What Gaza needs more than anything right now is for the killing to stop. The genocide must come to an end. Netanyahu must stop killing the people of Gaza. This is the first, the most important, the most effective, life-saving, life-preserving measure, more than anything else you can think of, more than food, more than medicine, more than anything. Just stop this God-forsaken genocide. This is the first intervention. As I said, this is the thing that's going to work the best. After that, then it's a quagmire. It really is, because you have a destroyed infrastructure. No hospitals, no schools, no roads, no universities. Homes have been leveled now. Even those buildings that were left in the city of Gaza been blown up. All the towers. I mean, I don't even know how many towers now. At one point, it was like 50 in the space of 36 to 48 hours. 50 towers. God knows if anything's left. How do you rebuild a society from that? How can you turn around and say to the Gazans, no, you must stay patient, you must stay firm, you must stay steadfast and live in this squalor, because we believe that we should remain in our land. And you haven't even done anything. You sit at home, you fill your belly with food, and you go to sleep. You wake up, you go to work, you go on holidays, and then you bark all these orders at the people of Gaza. All these, and you mention all these all this moral framework of remaining steadfast in your land. Honestly, it's hypocrisy. I don't know what the people of Gaza, if we're being perfectly honest, I don't know what proportion of them would even want to stay. This is the reality. If you want them to stay, then we must be there sacrificing with them. Let them feel they're not alone. Let them feel that we're sharing their pain, that we're giving with them. I mean, look, for example, at Yemen. Look at South Lebanon. They gave. And amongst the most dear to them. So, I mean, those people, I suppose, have something to say about it. But for the rest of them, the world, honestly, they ought to just be quiet. But, nonetheless, how do we get all the Arab states to sit around a table and figure out how the rebuilding process works? I mean, from our perspective in as an organization, we have potentially hundreds of mobile homes, and we're prepared to expand to thousands, which will offer these families dignity, temporary dignity.
This is Fajar Global?
Fajar Global, yeah. I mean, so we've developed these homes. It's like, basically like a container that's modified into reasonable living conditions, like a shower, a toilet, bedroom, a small living space. And if you were able to stack these, then you can offer people dignity, but living in tents and squalor, no toilets, you have to dig a hole, and just think about all the exposure to insects and this and that. That's not going to work. And I don't know. It's going to take a lot of great minds in the world of engineering and architecture. But I hope that we can offer some solutions. So that's one aspect. The next aspect, if we focus in more on medicine, you need to allow all medicines, surgical equipment, foreign doctors to come in to relieve. Not to say that they're any better than the doctors inside, but they need to relieve them. They've been at it for 2 years. They're exhausted. And also potentially, temporarily relocating all the injured to have treatment outside of Gaza. We're in part of that process as well. For example, in Jordan now, we've got a big project, and we're treating those who have already been evacuated into Egypt. And sort of taking the load away from the hospitals inside Gaza. It's going to be multifaceted, and it's going to need, extensive framework. They're talking about bringing back the war criminal Tony Blair. I don't know if Tony Blair feels remorse for his war crimes in Iraq and wants to genuinely make this up. Doubt it very much. I think once a poodle, always a poodle. He was a dog of George Bush. He'll now be the dog of Donald Trump, and he'll do what he's told. So it's a complex situation, honestly. It's so tough. But we're there, and we won't give up.
Is there anything else that Fajar Global is doing to help the people of Gaza that you wanted to add? That was my last question for you.
We, look, there are many organizations out there that do great work. The problem is, a lot of the work that organizations do are either they're duplicated, There's no collaborative or teamwork involved between organizations. Some organizations out there for glory. I don't know, maybe some organizations now are even profiteering because it's become a lucrative business. I'll give you an example of the dangers of sometimes working outside of organizations, though. We have one kid who has an amputation to his left leg and an amputation to his right arm, and he's got an external fixator on what's left of the right arm on the humerus. Somebody took his photo and his videos and launched a GoFundMe. And it raised $100,000 in his name. They stolen the money and ran. And we asked the family, "Are you guys, is this related to you?" And they said, "Absolutely not. We know nothing about this." The family responded with, "Hasbi Allah wa ni'mal wakil fihum." So there's a lot of exploitation. The people know me, the people of Gaza know me, what I stand for, what I represent. There's no amount of money in this world that can buy me, or my voice, or my words, or my actions. There is no price. I'm with Fajar because there's no organization that's perfect, but it is the best of the organizations there. And I can influence them in ways that I see is the most beneficial for these causes. And they listen. People have different visions, but we come together, we have like a shura, and we decide. And for example, when we realized we were banned from Gaza, I said we needed to do something. We needed to act more than just working on evacuation. We needed to help with the starvation. And so we did one of the bigger initiatives, $1 million initiative that we used to purchase locally grown vegetables by local farmers. Believe it or not, they still exist. Yes, ridiculous prices. That's the reality. And fed thousands of people with it. And we continue to help in that front. We've throughout the years, obviously I was there for three missions, seven months. I performed nearly 1,200 operations there. My colleagues also came and went. They also contributed in other specialities. So there was a large footprint. But the problem is we were too successful at helping and too successful at conveying the reality. And so Israel blocked us. So then we're faced with this challenge. What do we do next? So we continue to support, as I said, from a food and water program sort of way. But really now our focus is on medical evacuation. Even if you were in Gaza, even if I were in Gaza, there are some operations you cannot do because you don't have the equipment, you don't have the conditions, people don't heal well, and so on. So the best thing for these complex cases is to come out of Gaza and to be treated outside of Gaza. And we're working on those most complex cases, the ones that most other organizations shy away from because they're either too costly or too much of a headache. And we're working on those, and we're working to help those freshly injured, children and women to come to Jordan and other places. We also got a huge project in Egypt. As I said before, we're working on education, working on surgeries for patients there, and also on mental health support. There's about 100 to 150,000 Gazans in Egypt that evacuated in the first half of this war, genocide rather. We've also evacuated them to other countries, including the US, and we're also working to evacuate them to places like South Africa. We've worked very closely with the WHO to evacuate many others to Europe. We also have long-term vision of, when the ceasefire occurs, inshallah, what do we do immediately after? And for example, as I said before, we have the mobile home units that we've looked to set up. We had a field hospital ready to go in that was blocked by the Israelis. From my perspective, although, this is solely outside of Fajar, but, it's come through my work with Fajar, I got the promise of the Iraqi government to build the Iraqi hospital in Gaza. a bricks and mortar hospital. So that's ready, to be funded immediately on day 0. So we have plans now, and we have plans for day 0 after the ceasefire, inshallah. And we're staying ready. And if time comes where, we can start getting in food aid and whatnot, we're ready too. Inshallah, we do our best for them.
Can I ask you if you have hope, or how your faith plays a role in any hope that you may have?
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ. So we can never be or feel hopeless from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Challenges have come for people before Gaza. It came to the people of Syria, it came to the people of Lebanon, it came to the people of Iraq. It came to many people throughout the generations. Even Baghdad at the time of the Mongols. Even Palestine at the time of the Crusaders. So challenging times have come upon our ummah. This is the fitna for us today. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching what we are doing. The tragedy of today, the particular tragedy of today, is the betrayal. This is not the first war, and of course these are the most advanced weapons that vaporize human beings, which, really is and the use of AI, which is a new frontier and savagery of mankind on the part of the Israelis. And no doubt that's a precedent that's been set now, unfortunately, and written in the name of the Gazan blood. But it's not the first human challenge. But as I said before, the particular problem, the particular heartbreak for the people of Gaza and for us regular folk is watching the betrayal and the complicity of Arabs and Muslims in the murder of Gaza. And that's the tough pill to swallow. But the people are beyond effervescing now. They're boiling, and they will explode. All of these governments that have been put in place to control us, to stifle our voices, to regulate our behavior, to ensure that we are orderly and never, fight for our rights, they will all soon go. This is a promise, and we believe this. And of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that He will test us with the loss of our lives and loss of our blessings in this life, and give glad tidings to those who are patient. Those that, when challenged, say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And Gaza have taught us this lesson. They're the ones that go through this pain. They're the ones who are having their children slaughtered before the world's eyes. And they are reminding us of the importance of faith. So we cannot lose faith either. We always say Alhamdulillah, as they say Alhamdulillah. But, the flip side to that is, I see some people saying, oh, mashallah, they're so patient, May Allah help them. This is also a betrayal. The people of Gaza have been tested, but all of us have been tested. Because yes, they've been tested with death and hunger, but we are being tested with whether we will respond and our inaction, and most Muslims, sadly, have failed.
Thank you, Dr. Taher, for all that you've done for Palestine. I, as a Palestinian, of course, am extremely grateful for all of your work, and I'm sure the people of Gaza appreciate it as well. And thank you for sitting with me today.
Jazakallah khair. Shukran zila.